What?
What?
Oh, you know.
So who's the biggest piss cat out of all four of us?
Jeez.
No question.
No doubt.
Yeah, no.
The pussycat.
Well, that too.
That's what I heard.
I have the fluffiest hair. Miles has coarse hair. Where? Well, it depends.
Talking about my tummy banana.
My tummy banana.
I don't know if it was an egg holder.
It's an egg holder.
That
Egg holder, tummy banana.
All sorts of bullets. That's horrible.
It's quite a bad insult. You egg holding tummy banana.
Shut up.
Okay.
You know that my name is Egbert, right?
Yeah. I'm getting old. Yeah.
So every time I used to play in Natal back in the day, they always used to have a big box of Egbert's eggs on my amp. Every night there'd be a box of Egbert's.
I'm gonna get you some Egbert coffee.
But now Egbert's is quite famous.
It's
Dol Egbert, yeah.
It's like manly now.
This is
It's the manly thing.
Let's break the ice. Who's the best bass player between the lot of you?
Jacko.
I'd say technically it has to be Dave.
There's definitely two worlds here. There's people that love him and hate me. There's people that love me and hate them.
Nobody hates Bert.
What? He's the man. Yeah.
Nobody hates Bert. And we just play along.
But who's got the most people at the gigs?
Who's got the most gigs is maybe the thing. Yeah, well, this is
Without question.
that
So then you must be the best.
must be. He's the best. Yeah.
I'm just the best looking.
Um,
For now, not always.
So, 4-string, 5-string, or 6-string, which one's the best?
5.
7. Sorry.
Via vote, I think it would go to 5-string.
Yeah, he used to be the 4-string man, but now he's gone to 5 as well. Eh?
I'm
He's
converted.
seeing the light.
Converted. But I would never go to 6. No.
Cupboard guitaring. I'm the 4-string player actually, but I was 5-string, so it's like a bit of a weird one, you know. So
After the drinking, you started losing intelligence.
He sees 8 when he's playing.
Well, actually,
So you're an 8-string guitar.
sometimes, most of the time.
in your defense, Quentin, I have to say, I would say, if I had to play a 4-string now, I find it more difficult than playing a 5-string.
I agree with you there because it took me a long time to actually adjust to be able to not have that
escape
that
route.
D note.
Yeah, the escape
You know
route.
that
The D is the best part of the
Yeah. It's
Got it.
nothing better than giving them the low D. But
Everyone
you don't-
wants the D.
Used wisely. Used wisely.
So what is the best genre to play?
Fusion jazz. I'm the only one here, sorry.
Classic rock. I just love
man.
classic rock still.
I just love playing with people that
Yeah.
play. You know?
I've played everything from Buddha music to
He has literally played
rock. And
everything.
if you're playing with good musos, there's nothing better. It doesn't matter the genre.
So the answer is basically just playing with people that play music, you know, and
A good jam.
if you can talk to each other, that's the best thing. So it really doesn't matter what style you're playing. Obviously, rocking out is probably
It's the most fun.
It's always the best when it happens, but generally with the rock gigs, it's all over the place, and your sounds cuck and all that kind of thing. So it's like
Compromise.
But when you get that perfect moment, when you're jamming a proper
And it's
good
grooving,
rock show
it's
and it's
rocking,
all locked in, it's
Nothing to do.
there's nothing compared.
And then you can play an indie gig and girls actually come to it.
Yeah, but there's not that
Drill?
feeling.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's like
there's
having,
different feelings which are really great.
like bad casual sex. You're still going through with it, but there's nothing there, you know.
I wouldn't know I'm a bass player.
Yeah, but
So-
they accidentally think you're a guitarist.
Like
What
low
is-
roadies and things like that.
They are?
Yeah,
the roadies, they get more than the bass players.
I believe.
Apparently.
Yeah.
What's a roadie?
And groupies. I've heard there's a thing called groupies as well.
It's for the
Yeah,
guitarists and the vocalists and the drummers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
These are myths. They're like mermaids
I've heard of them.
to us.
but
We
I
don't know.
them.
What is the best bass brand out there? Bass guitar brand.
Fender.
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 Sorry.
Yeah.
They
They,
got it- they got it
make
right
cut
first
basses
time.
as well,
Yes,
and
they
they
do.
make great basses.
If you're looking
So-
for an average, like that you know you're going to pick it up and it's going to sound good, there's generally a Fender, I think. Like for like if you're just going to go to a shop and you don't know where you are and you need like some temporary bass or something like that. So if you're not going to go to some weird custom brand shop, I think Fenders are good to go for anyone.
But I mean, you obviously get like amazing bass products. I mean, Fodra and
We always say we like Fodra, but none of us have actually played one.
yeah, I played a Fodra, and funny enough,
And you gave it back.
and otherwise I would have been in debt for the rest of my life. But I mean, I played a Fodra, and I thought it was great, and then I came back to South Africa because there isn't any Fodras in South Africa that I know of, and then I played my dad's Yamaha, and it was like the Yamaha's better.
What? You said it was the same. Now it's
No,
better.
no,
Okay.
no, no. It was.
Well,
the-
after a few drinks, it's definitely better.
you know, but I mean, like, just the Fodra was immaculate. I mean, it was beautiful and everything, but it was almost just too beautiful. It was weird. And then I played the Yamaha, and I was like, but this thing sounds like a bloody nylon string guitar. It's like so smooth and perfect. There's nothing wrong with this bass in any way. So Yamaha actually make fantastic instruments. I mean, you cannot go wrong.
But I think it always also depends on what you're using it for. I mean, if you're going to be doing
Playing
something
bass.
where no, but besides playing bass, like if it's going to be solo-y things or jazzy type of stuff, that Yamaha is by far the like shining star when it comes to that. With all the basses we have that we in our house and collection vibe. But I mean, like if you're going to like a bluesy rock and roll, like a P bass and stuff, it all works. I mean, also like that Gibson Thunderbird or whatever, or the Sandberg that I play. Like it's just there are different things for whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So and getting a bass that does everything, normally those are very bad at one specific thing.
Correct.
Like because you don't want a bass that does too much.
But a
don't.
P bass does everything.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It does one thing, but it does it so well that nobody else can touch it. I have to give this quick story. Talk about that. One of my favorite guitars for feel and for just comfortable playing is an Ibanez. And one story that I went to band practice once, and the guy said to me, "Don't bring your bass. I've got one here lying around in the back room." So I said, "Cool, I'll just go to band practice." And he brought out this Ibanez Roadster, 1986.
Those are beautiful. they are beautiful basses.
He brought this thing out. He said, "I'm sorry, it's like a cheap Ibanez." But I said, "No, that's fine. It's a 4-string, and I played this thing out."
That's Fodra, by the way.
To this day, I've never heard a P bass sound as good. This thing was cured. The maple was just brown, dark, honey brown. But it just the tone. And then the strings were on the same strings for 10 years. They had been on this thing. And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But I could not believe the tone. It wasn't as playable as a Fender, being an Ibanez
set up
suddenly,
as everything.
but it wasn't set up. That's the thing. But the tone and the sound of this thing was just mind blowing.
Yeah, you can't fault Ibanez's the craftsmanship.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
absolutely.
they actually make
Craftsmanship.
immaculate instruments.
Yes, I do.
But you know, like a lot of companies do make immaculate instruments, and but like it's always weird how you always fall back on Fender all the time because even though you're playing a Fender that's not immaculately made,
It still sounds good.
it still sounds and feels good, and it just produces the product. I mean, but like it's biased. Not I'm not really biased towards it. It's just that I've always just picked up well, not always, but I've picked up a few Fenders, and you just can't touch them. They are perfect in every way, except for sometimes they get a bit like faulty with the electronics and the pots or whatever. But like you learn to deal with that, and then get a cheaper one that doesn't do as
Like
much
a Mexican
of that.
one, yes.
Which is funny. It's so like the more expensive, the more shit you're gonna get at the end of the day. But
Too many more features, more problems. Yeah.
That's like you with the Lakeland.
Yeah, no.
You had the double the price Lakeland to my Korean one, and you said you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, no, well, I could. Yours was better. So
There you have it.
that was the weirdest. The
Yeah.
weirdest thing is like I had like the best Lakeland money could buy, and that just didn't work for me at all. It had no soul. It had nothing. It sounded. You couldn't fault the thing.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
It's a
it
beautifully made
didn't
instrument,
sound bad. It was perfect in almost every way, but it just didn't.
Didn't
feel
sound like mine.
That sounds like a
Didn't
song
it?
title.
No, it didn't. And then, funny enough, I sold that. Well, I didn't. I traded it actually. A good friend, Anton, let me do a bit of a trade, and I got a really boutique bass, and that thing is flawless.
Yes.
Basically,
So flawless, you
Yeah,
never
yeah. No,
Never
I
use
don't-
it. I'm too scared to use it.
Yeah, no, but it's because, you know, after so many years of playing an active bass and getting, because I used to play in different types of bands, like where they needed fuller sounds and big drums, big band, brass and everything.
Sure.
So that's where active bass works so well. And then I started getting more sort of broken down gigs where there wasn't many people in the band, and sometimes there wasn't even a drum kit, and there's just a kick drum or something.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what the hell? And I actually did the first time I had a kick drum gig, I took the cylinder and I was like, oh sweet, this is amazing sounding bass. And then the gig folded so bad for me on my side, because I was like, this bass sounds too big, it's too much. So then I took your old Fender,
With the outboard.
There's a history behind that.
but it's a complicated story, but it's basically I'm the player of the bass.
The P bass.
Yeah,
The
of the
P-bass.
P-bass.
Basically,
And,
he doesn't use his own gear.
no,
It's because
no, I don't.
it's because it's only got 4 strings. So it's just lying there.
He
It's
uses
got-
my dad's bass in my amp.
And he's a pro player, yeah. Only pro player.
And I sold it to buy groceries for the week.
See, you've got this figured out.
So I'm winning in every direction. But and then I played this bass. I thought I'd give it a try, and you know, like it was. And funny enough, before you sold it, Bert actually he was amazing and said, "Listen, I've got this bass at the house. It's not being played.
Do you want not being played?
Do you want to play it?" And I was like, "Hell yes, I'll take this freaking American Fender P bass." And then funny enough, I took it, and then I didn't play it.
You also
And
didn't play.
I didn't play it. I just it was like cool. It's cool to have. Like it's a nice. It's
It's a
like
sunburst, beautiful,
it's beautiful.
bass.
The most beautiful bass. You'll see it on the videos. It's a stunning bass. And then it took me a while. And then actually I stood in for you for a few gigs because you couldn't make a couple of the pub gigs at Rock Cottage. And then I
back
thought,
went out.
and then I played it for the first time for a gig. And then the next day I messaged Bert. I'm like, do you remember? I don't know if you
I
remember
do
that
remember
message.
indeed,
And I'm
yes.
like,
Yeah.
this bass is actually changed my life. It
You said exactly that.
literally changed my life. I was like, and then I went back to the 5-string, and then I slowly but surely started playing more gigs, and then that's when I had the gig with Watershed where we only had a kick drum, and then the cylinder just didn't work. So I just played the P bass from there on, and then it was like a whole new world open for me. And then now I can play the biggest show in the world, and I'll probably put the P bass on my back. You
What a
can't,
lovely story.
You
Yes,
can't
yes.
move back from that.
You guys have never shared a stage or played together.
No.
Two of us once.
Yeah, you
It
guys.
was a
did.
disaster.
Oh, we did. Yes. Oh
Bass
man.
Players Collective.
They did the bass
Yeah,
players collective.
Yeah.
and we didn't rehearse, and we just screwed it up. But yeah.
No, I don't think it was. I remember being in the crowd and people being quite inspired by it. And then I remember one guy saying, "Oh, that's the first funky thing that's been played tonight." And you started.
And it was funky. 'Cause
Yeah, you started a thing.
I played a rock riff,
Yeah.
which was a riff by Steve Lukather. Would you believe?
Was it that
But
dude?
what a great
played
riff!
it?
Is it Steve Lukather riff?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's from Lost Lobotomies.
Oh,
it's,
I know.
It's like an offbeat, but it's a rock riff, and it just grooves. It just works. And he played this beautiful jazz solo over it. which actually worked.
Some of it, yeah. There were parts that crashed, but
As you say,
we got out of
it was
there.
I remember you did like a
That's-
snappy thing.
That's with this guy. He's the only one that can play with the most difficult players, and he's renowned for that as well.
Let's end it off with like a final thought. What do you guys think life would have been like if the bass guitar didn't exist in your family? If you think about it, I mean, you've got that Fender that came through all of you and ended up with them. Did it shape the way you guys thought? The way you approach things, what has bass meant to your family?
I have to say, if I can start, that the fact that when I started playing bass, I mean, if you think about anybody else in the world, when they say, well, you got to get a bass, it's a Fender. So people start playing bass with a Fender. So they already call it an advantage they see the light much earlier. In South Africa, it was nearly impossible to find a P-bass, firstly.
Yeah.
I played my first P-bass after I've been playing for 10 years. And that's when I first saw a P-bass firsthand, and I handled the thing. And I'd never seen a P-bass before in real life, just in pictures. So I think it would have been even better had we had access to all this great gear that the rest of the world has that we didn't in the early days.
And tuition. There was no tuition.
No tuition.
Nobody taught you anything. You had to learn by yourself, which in a way kind of gives you a bit of more uniqueness.
Yeah.
But
I guess that was
you missed
also
out.
kind of an advantage having it in your family, especially for guys like Miles
Yeah,
and
us
Quentin.
younger generation, we were so spoiled because there was everything.
Everything.
Like
You
we-
know, like my
even-
first bass that I ever played
Even
was
before like YouTube was a thing, I'm sure. Like I remember when I started playing bass, like, you couldn't check out that many stuff. So I was checking a lot from Lani and stuff like that. I'm sure like you guys learned so much from these guys as well.
totally.
Yeah, basically to this day, every time someone contacts me to play anything, the first thing I do is I'm like, Dad, can you work out these songs and score it out for me? Because then I have
think I get
charts
pissed
and
off
it
about
looks, and it's so much easier. It makes my life easier because I've still also got a job that I have to do.
You know, it was always, we always have a discussion every time we see each other.
About bass.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Somewhere-
you know
somewhere
we
or another.
talk about it all the time, and sometimes our opinions change. You know, but like it's always, the P-bass is always good. Like you just don't.
The first time it hit home to me was when you did an audition for Dan at Lansky.
Yes, yeah.
And I still said, right, I know I played with Dan, I know what he likes. And I didn't know where to start. I thought, how do you explain what Dan likes?
We should have said rock up with a P-bass. It
in
would
an
have-
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I rocked up with a freaking 5-string
Yeah,
active
yeah.
bass,
And there was
And
not
try
gonna
to
work.
groove everything.
and you know what, like
Too many notes, bro.
no, yeah, I know. You know that was a
Didn't know
learning
it's all
curve in
fun.
my life. I mean, like, I mean, it was really cool to jam with Dan in my audition, and I know who got the gig, and he totally, Clint. I mean, he's a fantastic blues player. Like, the guy's a monster, and I really respect his playing, and totally deserved the gig way over I did. But at the time, like, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was even getting myself into.
it's a learning curve.
it totally
That's
did.
how you learn, huh?
And I had to try and explain, like, call it 10 years of experience in one evening, just before the gig, just before the
Yes.
rehearsal. And you can't do that. It's
No,
It's
no.
hard, all the nuances, the subtleties, how long you should keep a note, how many
Precisely.
notes you should play.
Yeah, no, but you can't explain that. That's
All I said was,
unexplainable. It only comes with experience.
Just feel the music, feel it from him.
Yeah.
And that tells you nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't. It's
doesn't
also
help.
like weird. Like I think a lot of people often think that we get lessons and stuff like that, but it's never really been lessons that we've had. It's not like my dad sits and was like, okay, every Thursday at 2:00 we're going to sit down, we're going to go to bass courses. It was never really that. I think the advantage for us is just growing up in a community where bass felt natural.
Yeah.
Like it was the music we listened to. We used to fall asleep listening to 4-play sitting in the car when we had like drives to Pretoria type of thing, you know.
And
It's
he was
like,
2 years old. you know.
and you would get headaches because the music was way over your head that it would just hurt your brain. But it just became a thing. Like it was just bass is just what we've done. It wasn't really like, okay, everyone done their thing. Some kids play soccer or they play rugby or whatever. I think our thing was just like we play bass. It's just something we
I
do.
definitely wish I played better soccer.
Or rather, let's
got
rather
paid
say
for it,
football. Like,
Yeah, no,
it's
I mean-
football, not soccer.
Don't start kicking your bases.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would
but
be
I-
making a hell of a lot more
In
money.
my opinion, your family has covered so much ground in the South African bass scene. Like, it's very inspiring to see a family, like, not just one or two guys, but like a whole set of guys in the family just killing it. Like, I've watched you. I haven't watched you, unfortunately, but every
been a-
time
it's
I've
been a
seen
while
each
since
of
I've
you
played.
play, I have a fantastic time. And,
No, and same with you.
Yeah.
well, I try.
I think we've all
No,
seen
yeah.
you play.
Yeah, we've all seen that. That's a whole nother level of
And I think we've all had nuts, especially with the Black Cat Bones, having a gig with them, and then you just don't realize what's going on the next day. You're like, what happened?
We've all died little bits at a time.
Nobody can beat Chris's stage presence.
No.
All you need is a handstand. You don't need a friend. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. This
Thank
is
you,
wonderful.
thank you.
Now we've got
Sure. Now history is made.
yeah.